Okay, so we're going to get started tonight on, I don't even know what we're talking about. We are talking about the dark forces of the world. And it's just really, I'm going to kind of do an intro and then we're going to talk about how Satan got to the role of out of heaven, which most of us know, but in case you're new, we want to go ahead and cover that. So the way that we got on this topic, because normally we're like lifting you up and encouraging you and talking about Jesus and things, and we're still talking about Jesus because Jesus has given us victory over all the dark forces of the world and over Satan and his enemies and his little minions and all that stuff. Um, but I will say, like a year ago, the Lord had put a really big burden on me. Like I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, an old church, and then I stayed there for a little while, and we didn't really talk about the dark stuff,
Mm.
and really the Bible talks about demons and evil spirits, and that's like Jesus's ministry was he constantly was casting out demons and evil spirits and things like that. But it just I mean, we've learned everything about Jesus as we should, but we haven't learned about our enemy and his tactics and how he comes for us and what he's doing. And I really don't think a lot of people knew until I believe we're in the end days. And so I believe that people who are ex Satanist or ex witches or are no longer in the occult um, are now coming forward and talking about their experiences. And so how this started was, um, someone had contacted me and told me that there was a witch that was nearby. And that's so funny because like the only thing I heard about witches was like on Vampire Diaries because I was a Vampire Diary fan.
You hear
So
it all the time,
you
but you
hear it.
just don't
Yeah.
realize
Like in
there's
TV,
it's a real practice.
Charmed. I mean,
Mhm.
there's so many, Twilight. I mean, there's just tons of that type of warlock, Harry Potter. I mean, you name it. There's that type. It's in our Disney movies with Snow White. You have the evil queen who's a witch, Maleficent. You know, it's everywhere. We just
Isn't the Starbucks
Oh yeah,
symbol?
it's a pagan god. So we're in a very pagan world. And when you say that, Christians tend to make fun or laugh or don't really believe. I mean, we just kind of like psh, whatever. Um so last so we have a women's conference coming up
Mhm.
in September. And one of the ladies that was going to speak, she kind of backed out. And so my pastor came to me and he gave me a name and said, I want you to go listen to her testimony. And so I went and listened to her testimony, and she has gotten out of the occult, has been out for like 12, 13 years, something like that. Scared me to death. I mean, because normally I didn't do haunted houses. I mean, I've started over the last 5 years because my children are older and they want to always go to a haunted house. And so I was like, okay, I've been warned by her name's Audrey McLean. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but anyway, they're with Vapor Ministries, and she's always in Haiti. And she's like, do not go to haunted houses because that stuff is real. And we just don't see it here. We have totally
Just see it as fun.
yeah, innocent fun.
Yeah.
We really don't believe we're not worshiping Satan. But what we don't realize is these things have desensitized us over a period of time. And so after I went to bed that night, and even when I told my husband about this experience, he kind of laughed at me like, you have lost your mind. Like, I know you're crazy, but you have really went over the deep end. So I was telling him that I woke up in the middle of the night, very panicky, kind of just felt a dark presence. Like I had fear. And
Mhm.
that's normally I wake up in the night. If I'm waking up, I wake up and there's no fear, or anxiety or panic or whatever. And so I did that. And I was paralyzed. I couldn't speak. I couldn't say anything. My mind was telling me I was okay, that nothing was going to happen to me, that I wasn't going to be possessed, but I was being oppressed, is what I've learned. And so um, that scared me to death. And so I'm like, Lord, what is going on? Which put me into a thing of research. So we had dinner again with the girl that's going to be speaking at the conference on coming out of the occult. And she gave me a pastor's name, and his name is Billy Crone. And he's an ex Satanist. And now he's a pastor, and he's telling all the secrets, and he's telling all the things that happened to him. And so I started watching him, and I'm like, Lord, are you wanting me to learn more about the enemy because I'm not looking for it. It's falling in my lap. And that's what he does. And so we started talking about, well, maybe we need to talk about demonic because there's been a lot of people say, well, talk about demons and demon possession and things like that. And so we've done it. I'm probably going to be canceled on every social media there is, but and so one thing that I went to was I needed to know that I was okay because sometimes you hear that people can be there's different beliefs like can a
Mhm.
Christian be possessed by a demon. And so I went to scripture and things like that, and basically what it is like when you move into a new territory or a land, if you're in third world countries or whatever, you're going to have resistance from the enemy because he doesn't want you there and you're in his territory. And so basically the Lord just laid on my heart that that this happened. He does want me to recognize the enemy. I've learned so much about the enemy and I'm not going to be able to not talk about it. And so he knew that if I learned about it, I was going to expose it. I was going to talk about it. If I get canceled, I'll have another way of sharing it. I'm not going to hush. And it has really, since I've been listening to this pastor, that he breaks down everything. I am holding on tight to Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
He is our only protection from demonic spirits. Um, and so that's kind of where we're going tonight. And, I know that there are different beliefs. I fall so guilty into being deceived. It says that Satan is the deceiver of the whole world. He's deceiving the whole world. And that's Revelation 9:12 or 12:9. He's deceiving the whole world, which means Christy and Lisa and but not our girls that are doing our sound because they grew up in a Pentecostal church and their mama has protected them from a lot of this because they do study that stuff and they've seen spirits and things like that, whereas me, this little Southern Baptist girl, hasn't seen anything. And so I it was fearful for me at first until I got in here and I understand that we have been given weapons. In Ephesians 6 we are to put on the full armor of God
Mhm.
for victory. And greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. And so, as we were talking about all this, I told Lisa, she was like, are you scared? And I was like, God is the devil's God. So you have to understand that, like
Think about
God,
that.
yes,
Yeah.
God made Lucifer, who was an angel, a beautiful angel. He is the creator of Satan, but he was Lucifer and he was a high up angel. And so he's sovereign over the darkness and everything. And so that brings me peace to know that I'm good. As long as you have Jesus Christ in your life, you don't have to worry about the demonic, or Satan. I mean, he's going to come and oppress you with your struggles, but you don't have to worry about being possessed. You don't have to worry about all the spooky stuff we're going to talk about. And I know some of this seems like crazy just by telling Lisa. She's like, "Well, I mean, but that's what we do. We're
Yeah.
deceived. We're deceived in all of it." So, we're going to start with Lisa teaching tonight. We've switched sides.
We
We
might have
have
to
one
change that now.
microphone. Yeah, so that right there just lets me know that our we've already had malfunction with our equipment. So, but they say that they can hear us. So I'm loud. She's soft spoken. So, um, but we're gonna go ahead and start talking about like Lucifer and what happened to him because he was this beautiful angel that was actually covering the throne of God. He had a high job. He had a beautiful voice. Um, I've heard that he was like over the music. And so it really makes sense to me that why our music today is so sexual and horrible. I mean, any channel, any kind of music that you listen to is, talking about divorce or leaving your man or your cat got ran over
Yeah.
or it's calling people names and talking about violence or.
Yeah.
So he definitely works through the movies and our music. So let's get to know our enemy so we'll know how to stand firm and resist him because it says if you resist the devil, he will flee from you. So,
Well, demons, they're fallen angels, and they have the same characteristics as their parts. And so spirituality and immortality, demons are not omniscient, so that's good.
Hmm.
They're not all knowing, but I learned that each one has a specific knowledge,
Yeah.
and so you'll talk about that later.
Hmm. But
Um,
even like the fallen angels, like when they fell to earth, some are in prison and bound right now, and some are able to roam.
mm,
But the ones that are in prison and bound by chains are there until judgment because of the bad things that they were teaching. I mean, like, we don't get into any of that. I've never even heard of the Nephilim until I started studying myself. And so that is a whole that's why they're in prison and in chains, some of them, because they taught the humans horrible things. And so, like, it's a plan to disrupt God's plan. So, okay.
Satan and the other fallen angels, they were defeated, and as punishment for their rebellion, they were cast down to earth.
God didn't touch them. Michael whipped their tail. That's what I love about it. Like, he could have went, like that, or just with his word, but he didn't have to, because Michael, there was a great war in heaven and they were defeated.
They were,
Now, why was there a war in heaven?
because he wanted to be God.
Yeah.
And so, Revelation 12:7 through 9, there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels, under his command, fought the dragon and his angels. The dragon lost and was forced out of heaven. The great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown to earth with all his angels. And so, that last part, I mean, you know that, but then when you read that in that verse, it's like that's what's going on right
Yeah.
now in
But
this
you
in
don't
our world.
realize it until you learn all this other stuff. Like, I have this whole notepad, is nothing but things that I have learned about his tactics. And you don't realize that you're really being deceived. Like, I have been deceived, and I'm still being deceived in certain areas, but, like, once you know the truth, um there's no
You got to
hiding it. You're just
change.
like, "What?"
Yeah.
I mean, mind blown. Mind blown.
And so the Bible tells us that Satan and his demons can inflict harm on earth by possessing people and causing them physical and spiritual harm, and to make them do evil.
Mhm.
And so we see a lot of that.
And he can't possess a Christian, but he can oppress a Christian. So once he figures out that you're a Christian, the battle's on. Like, you have
Yeah.
to understand that we are in a war in the spiritual realm. That means with the demons that we can't see, but they are the ones behind our struggles, and because they want us to do evil. They want us to do things that don't glorify the Lord, because they're mad at us, because God made us in his image, and Satan wanted us to worship him, and so he hates us. So you have to see who you are, that God created you in his image. Therefore Satan hates your guts, and he's here to destroy, to kill, steal, and destroy you. And he knows that he knows the end of the Bible. He knows he's going to the lake of fire. Um, but he wants to take as many people with him that he can. And so
That's his.
that's his whole purpose, is he hates us because God loves us, and he wanted to be worshiped, and he's not. He lost. So,
Even when you think about what Judas Iscariot did, like that the Bible verse says in Luke 22:3 through 4, then Satan entered Judas.
mhm.
And so that you just think somebody's just doing something. You don't realize that it's a demon,
It's
that
a
it's
demon.
Satan.
Yeah.
And it said, then Satan entered Judas, one of the 12, and Judas went to the chief priest and the officers of the temple guard and discussed with them how he might betray Jesus.
Mhm.
And so that's one of Satan's goals too, is for us to betray
Yeah.
and take us to hell with him.
That's right.
Blinding the minds of unbelievers. And so we see a lot of that right now. The desensitization of everything that's going on in like the secular world,
Mhm.
and with our kids and what they're listening to and what
What
they're
we're listening
watching.
to,
Yeah.
what we're watching. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
we as Christians are lukewarm because we are deceived by Satan, because we watch, like, this pastor was talking about, when we were young, we watched Captain Kangaroo, and we watched The Electric Company, and educational movies. But
Innocent.
yes, and
Yeah.
so as you watch, like, I'm 47, so I can remember my mom talking about not having a TV. So really, it has been a spiritual attack from, like, that's why I feel like we're the blessed generation, because we've seen so much. We've seen electricity, we've seen planes, we've seen all this stuff come in just 100 years, and so Satan has really stepped up his game in destroying our generation. And I believe it's because we're in the end days. And so it's exciting. It's
Mhm.
exciting. It's so exciting because I'm ready for Jesus to come back. But we have to wake up. Like, we have to splash water on our face and admit that we've been deceived, because I've been deceived. I have been so deceived. I have I have participated. I have allowed my children to participate. And people are like, "Oh, that's just so innocent." No. That is not. That is not. When you test it by the word of God, you find the truth. And it's our responsibility as Christians to take the truth and do something with it and change, because we've been deceived.
Mhm.
So,
Another way is deceiving people by disguising themselves as servants of righteousness. And
mhm.
so, um, no wonder, like, Satan himself is a deceiver.
Yeah.
He's the father of lies.
He
And so,
masquerades as an angel of light.
and
That's
that's
in
what
Second
this,
Corinthians. Yep.
yeah, and that's what it says. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It's not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of
That's right.
righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve.
Yeah. So what that means is he is masquerading as an angel of light, means he desensitizes us, like this pastor was talking about the movie Lucifer, or the TV show Lucifer, and it makes him like, yes, he's the devil, but he's really just here to help us solve crimes. So it's making him not as bad as who he really is. And so he masquerades like he's really not that bad. He was kicked out of heaven. So he's really, really bad. Um and so his demons do that as well, like the things that we watch with nudity. I mean, you cannot hardly watch a show, a movie, that does not have some woman's top. I mean, so far we haven't went to the men's part, his junk. Usually that's covered, but the woman is so exposed in almost every movie that you go watch now.
Mhm.
And it's no big deal. It's no big deal to see another woman naked. And that is so against what God's word says. And so we have to realize that. We have to wake up and realize that we have been deceived. And because he doesn't want us to come into who God has created us to be, and he does not want us to be used by God. And if you're wallowing in sin and the desires of the flesh, um, then God isn't going to use you.
Mhm.
So
Um, and to keep yourself free from all of this, you need to live in obedience to the scripture and in obedience to God. And so the Bible assures us that if we submit to God and resist evil, the devil and his demons will flee from us.
that's right.
And that's James 4:7. Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then one of our podcasts that we did several months ago was on the armor of God. And so
Hmm.
that's another way we resist the demons and the devil
Yeah,
is
He's
to put
given
on
us
the
those weapons to stand firm, because it says once you've put the whole armor on,
Mhm.
you stand.
Mm. Stand firm.
Stand firm. Like, you resist him. It's the hardest thing you'll do, because and if you don't even put your armor on, you're just walking around on the battlefield like whoop dee doo. Like, you don't have a clue what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I just feel like, God is probably up there like wanting to shake us, like, wake up. I've given you everything you have to have a life abundant.
Hmm.
I used to say, what is this life abundant? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? Um, it's not material things. It is peace and joy
In any circumstance.
and love and kindness and the fruit of the spirit. And so, like, in any circumstance that you find yourself in, you're happy and you're not depressed and you don't have anxiety and you don't have all these mental illnesses that we're trying to figure out how and why we have them.
Hmm.
It's because some of us are walking around thinking we're saved, and we have a possession. And it is, I mean, that was Jesus's whole ministry, was casting out demons. Not just one demon, legions. And now we have this pronoun of they and their and us and we, and we don't know who we are, and or what gender we are. That is demonic. And if you can't see that, I don't know. I mean, I pray that the words that the Lord is using through me and Lisa tonight, that you will hear them and you will understand that we have tested this through the word of God. And I'm just as guilty as anybody. I mean, I am so blown away by how slick and clever and crafty Satan is, because
Mhm.
this is his kingdom. This is we know where it has to get in order for Jesus to come back. And so this is part of the plan. This
Yeah.
is part of the plan. Um,
So put that full armor of God on,
yes,
and
you
that
have to every
to
day.
learn about that, that starts in Ephesians 6,
Yes.
and then you can go look at our old
Yeah, our old podcast, yeah.
on that.
Or yeah, on Spotify and on YouTube. Both of them
Yeah.
are on there. Yeah.
Let's see. Some of the things that we think are just innocent that are demon filled and connected to demons is people when people talk about Zen.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
People talk about
Yoga,
yoga.
martial arts. I had
Um,
no clue about that until I had talked to this girl the other day. She did martial arts. And she said, like she's it is motive, but it's like what you're meditating on. That's what she said. Like Christian people come at me all the time when you say yoga,
mhm.
because you're supposed to empty yourself and all this. You're supposed to focus on things above. You're supposed to focus on God's word. And so you can't sit there and say, oh, well, I don't, because we're being deceived. He
And then
wants
when you're
us
in like say you're in a yoga class and you're doing all that, even if that's not your motive, you're in there with
with
people's.
everyone else. That's right. And that is just, I mean, it's Hinduism. I mean, it just is what it is. I can't flower it up and paint it and glitter it.
Buddhism, all the
All of it.
other
Yes.
religions, tarot cards, talking to spirits,
Crystals,
crystals, Ouija boards, all these things are tied to
mediums.
demonic power.
And it's
Um,
it's no longer called witchcraft. It's called Wicca.
mhm.
That's the new name. Like Wicca's not as bad. You can
And,
be a nature witch, or and I get it. I get it. People find healing in so many different things.
but it's deception.
It is. It is deception, and it is fading, and it doesn't feel you. The only thing that can heal you is Jesus Christ. And so, like, you can search all you want to in nature and cooking, and like there's a cooking witch, and there's all kinds of different type of witches. And believe me, I love the Good Witch, the show The Good Witch. I've seen all the seasons. I mean, like, when I say that, and I would be like, "Oh, I could be her," with all the I could be a good witch. Like, what?
Yeah.
No, there is no good witch.
Mhm.
There is none of that. No good magic, no white magic. It's all demonic, and it is to deceive us
Mhm.
into not allowing Jesus to be the center of your life. It's idolatry.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And I know so many people who defend being witches. Um and it's hard because they're friends of mine, and um but I have to speak the truth, and I'm speaking it in love. I'm deceived just right there with everyone. So, yeah, this is hard.
Well, I wanted to go back to how music activates
Mhm. Yep.
demons. And so I was listening to, I don't remember who the video was by, but they had given an example of how Cardi B put out this tweet, and it was like I guess a video tweet or something, and it had her voice on it, and she was talking about and crying. You could hear her be tearful in the in the audio, but she was talking about how she had locked this, how the music activates this demon that
Mhm.
she locked away a,
Beyonce,
a long time ago.
her alter ego
Mm,
is Sasha Fierce.
yeah.
She has admitted that she has another, that it is a spirit. And I mean, you can believe that, you can not believe that. It doesn't make it not true.
But she was talking about how, she was crying and tearful, and she said, I don't want that back. This new song that they're making me do, it
Mhm.
activates that
Yep.
demon,
Yep.
and I put it away. And she's like, I just want to be a good
Mhm.
mom.
That is the thing with, people always talk about selling their souls. That's real. That's as real as it can be. You can listen to testimony after testimony after testimony of every rapper, singer, whatever, and how they have no control of their life. They're miserable because they were deceived in thinking that their skill of singing or rapping or whatever was going to get them to the next level, when really, most of the time, you have to sacrifice. family member.
Mhm.
I know that sounds crazy, but if you just look it up and you research it, do not take my word for it. Go research it yourself. There's always a sacrifice. You're never Satan is never going to give you something, or you're never going to get anywhere in this world without a sacrifice. Um, and that is just how it is. And so if you when these people like Kanye West and Jamie Foxx and all that stuff, when they start speaking truth, they go missing for a little bit. But if you hear what they're saying when they're telling people that they're crazy, they're saying there's child rituals, there's sacrificing. I mean, Kanye West said he sacrificed his mom. That's not my words, that's his. But yet everybody thinks he's crazy, so they don't believe
Yeah.
that. And they don't
And that
I'm
was
like,
part of their plan,
yeah, so
the
here's my thing
deception.
is like, if you don't believe in the demons and everything that it says, then you can't believe in Jesus, because you can't take scripture and say, "Oh, I'm going to believe in Jesus, but I'm not going to believe in the demonic and the evil spirits." Like, you can't cherry pick the Bible. You have to, if you're questioning Satan and demonic spirits and evil spirits, then you need to question, is Jesus the way, the truth, and the life? And nobody's going to do that because they know that's true. So you have to believe the whole Bible and not just pick what your mind. A lot of people, this is too hard for. This is They don't want to hear this. This is too scary. Um, but this is the truth, and this is why we need Jesus so much. Like, you better have Jesus. If you don't have Jesus, you better get saved, because that is the only protection that you're going to have from this stuff. And it is dark and it is scary and it is. But if you have Jesus, you have no worry. You have no worry. And so you can be oppressed. I mean, I think I had a hex on me,
Something.
something, um, or a spell or whatever, but it, just paralyzed me for a little bit. I was able to speak the name of Jesus, and it was all over with, and I'm learning more about it. And so, like, it's going to take more. And I know I'm protected. And so I don't worry about that. And we don't need to worry about it. God is not a God that has given us a spirit of fear. He tells us not to be afraid. And so you have to either believe the word of God or you don't believe the word of God. And that means in the middle of your storm or in the middle of whatever's going on, you have to trust the Lord that he has your best interest. So, yeah.
Some things to go through your house and get rid of. Jewelry, pottery. Maybe they were talking about pottery that was made by like other religions. I don't want to say
Yeah.
Native
So
American
I have, yeah,
Indians.
yeah.
Those the pottery, dream catchers. They said that
Dream
that has
catcher. Yep.
that's a demon connection,
Supposed
and
it's supposed to they're amulets, and they're supposed to protect you, like vampires and garlic and herbs and stuff like that. Like, nothing protects you but Jesus. It is a lie from Satan. There is nothing that's going to protect you from him.
good luck charms, rabbit's foot, crystals, um, skeletons, dragons, statues of skulls,
Like your
demonic
jewelry, like your
games,
little girls, what your little girls wear, like the yin yang and the skull.
or the little crystal necklaces
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like
Yep.
that. Demonic games,
Ouija boards.
Ouija board, Dungeon and Dragons, horror
And our video
movies.
games. And our video games that we're allowing our children to play out fantasies of
Well, I was
warlocks.
just listening to I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about AI is creating a online Ouija board
Yep.
game.
Yep.
So,
That's his tool.
and even like your digital photos, things that you save off of line, your screenshots and stuff, things like that that are not of the Lord, get rid of them.
It says that we are against uh darkness and world forces of the darkness, against the spiritual force of wickedness of the heavenly places. Spirits attack us by giving you thoughts that try to compel you. I mean, that's a vampire diary, Brittany. That's a vampire diary. They're compelled. That's what the spirits do. They compel us.
Ephesians 2 1 through 3 says, Satan and his demons orchestrate things in the world so that the things and events around us are tempting to our flesh.
That's right.
And remember that they can place thoughts in unbelievers' minds. And those of us who are saved are now free to choose to walk in the Spirit, but we can also just obediently choose to walk in the
Hmm.
flesh. And that's Galatians 5:13.
Yep. Because, like, if you're trying to get out of addiction, or they put thoughts in your mind to make you want to do that stuff, and and I mean that it is trying to make you feel like you want to do them, even though it's opposite of your new nature. So when you accept Jesus, you no longer are that old self that wants to do. Now, I mean, I fell into sin way after I became a Christian, but now my new nature, once I've learned how to walk in the Spirit, is against all that. And so, like, there for a little bit, it would like put things in my mind to where I would like they wanted me to fall back into it, but you have to stand firm. And
There's a new movie out that I want to watch. It's called
oh
Nefarious.
yes,
Have you
yes,
seen
yes,
it?
I have seen it, and that guy is on it. He talks about it. Um, if you have not seen Nefarious, you need to watch it.
Because it pretty much shows you exactly what's going on in the world and how
Exactly.
it's done.
Yes. And how he makes you do what he wants you to do. If you're not walking in the Spirit, you're not listening to the Lord, you're not listening to your Holy Spirit, then you're gonna serve the Lord or you're gonna serve Satan. That's the only two options you have. And so we just think that it's not a big deal. Like it's not um serious.
Yeah.
We
Just
think
like I
this
was
world
saying
is about
earlier.
us.
It's like, but isn't it about your motives? And
Yeah.
you're like, no, no, it's
Well,
not.
it is your motives, but like you can't dabble in Wicca and just say, "Oh, well, my motive isn't to serve Satan, but I just
Or
want to
even
be a good
yoga.
witch," or like yoga.
Yeah.
Like you can't dabble in it because there is no way you are supposed to be the light in the darkness, not go to the darkness and participate in the darkness because it will overtake you every time. You can't go to a bar if you're an alcoholic because you will eventually fail.
Hmm.
You have to be set apart. You have to have boundaries and restrictions. And when we try to do that stuff, of saying, "Oh, I'm strong-minded," you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's he doesn't want us to do that. Um
You go ahead and get started. I'm interested in seeing what
oh
you have.
gosh. Okay, so like the pastor that I've been listening to, his name is Billy. Um, what did I say his last name?
Crone.
Crone, Billy Crone, and he's an ex-Satanist, warlock, whatever he is. He was into it for a lot of years, and now he is a pastor, and he's kind of just telling it all. And so, and one thing I want to talk about real quick is that, the purpose of our battles in our wilderness when the Lord allows us to go, because even your pain and your struggles is part of the plan. It's making you stronger. It's helping you to be equipped for the next battle, is to establish your faith. And James told us to rejoice in trials because of what it produces in us and to display complete dependence on God. Consider it joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let that endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, not lacking in nothing. James 1:20, 1, 2, and 4. So you don't want to lack something when you're in a big storm.
Hmm.
You want to have everything that you need, and that's what the Lord does. He equips us with everything that we need.
When you're in a spiritual battle.
Yes, that's right. Faith is what you believe. It's not what you believe. It's who you trust
Hmm.
in the midst of your battles. So you have to understand that everything you go through is making you stronger, making you stand firm. Because there's going to be a time when you're going to have to stand, and you may be the only one standing. And if you haven't conquered small battles, you're just up for it. So, all right, here we go. So, First John, it says that we aren't to be swayed by the wicked one. I mean, we hear all these verses all the time, and we just don't put it to real life. It's just like old Bible times, or for when Jesus comes back. We're there. We're there. He's about to come back. This is Satan's kingdom, and there is a spirit of Antichrist that has been here for a
Hmm.
long, long time. So the spirit of Antichrist is something that is totally against Christ. So we've taken God out of school. We can't pray in school. We can't do anything. We've taken all of that out, and us Christians have allowed it. We've just stood by and allowed it to happen. And that's so, so bad. He's an influencer. He's a liar. He's a deceiver. Fox News is now going to match donations to the Satanic Temple.
What?
So your media's in it. Target, selling all of the your stuff and the new bathing suits.
Dodgers, the.
The Dodgers. Yep, they have the Homo Night. That's what they're calling it. Uh, Movies, TVs, abortions. The U.S. Air Force has a drag queen. That's our Air Force. Our public schools. There's murder everywhere, but it's too hard to hear. What do we do when it gets too dark? We turn the TV off. We turn it off. We turn it off because we don't want to hear it. I don't even watch the news anymore.
I don't either.
And it's like you're just it's just so depressing and dark. Um, But people are intoxicated with demonic spirits. The spirit of Antichrist agrees, as the world does. Parents become advocates for their grandkids and kids. If your child says they're gay, you just accept it. You're supposed to guide them. You're not supposed to accept it. You love them. You love them through it. I just spit everywhere. But you don't become an advocate or a defender of it, because it's more than likely a phase. It's a struggle that your child has gone through. We think our children are supposed to be perfect and have everything figured out, because we don't want to be embarrassed by our children's choices, because what, we raised them better. Well, who raised us better? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, we all have went through horrible choices and phases and things. I mean, that's just how it is. And we are to guide our kids. So, like, if your kid comes home and says they're gay, then you need to take them to the Bible and tell them what the Bible says. Not that it's going to poof go away overnight, but prayer and guidance is what you're supposed to do, not to fold and not stand on the word of God.
And some people say, well, I'm going to show them Christian love.
That's
And
not Christian love.
yeah.
You can't be Christian love if you go against the word of God. And so they need guidance, not acceptance, and you're supposed to stand on the word. And so when you don't do that, you could possibly potentially send your child
To
to
hell.
hell, because you're just like, "Oh, I don't want to hurt them. They're my little kid." Listen, we're all deceived. So, you just, and then, like, say, Satan wants impulsive thoughts because it's not controlled, it's not prayed about, where the Bible tells us to wait on the Lord.
Hmm.
So it's opposite of God's word. A Christian cannot be possessed, but you can be oppressed. The Holy Spirit seals us and won't share the temple with anybody. He's not going to share the temple that you are with a spirit. So that's what you find rest in. Um, but John 8 says that Satan is a liar, and he's the father of all lies. He's a murderer. And so I don't know if you've been, if since you haven't been watching the news, there is, I started, me and my husband started going to a prophecy class. And so if you look at what's going on with the World Health
Organization.
organization and stuff, they have a thing called Agenda 2030. And so they listen, this is why I believe that the rapture is very close, because I was talking about Messiah 2030. Remember me telling everybody about that? Okay, so this is Agenda 2030, and they say that they have 7 years that they can get this planet back to its what Romans 1 says, not to worship the creation, but to worship the creator. And so they are all about global warming and the waters and stuff. The Lord has given us this earth to use its resources:
Mhm.
oil, coal, wood, water, everything. We can't destroy the earth early. God is sovereign. And so that is a lie from Satan as well. He has deceived our people in our government and everything. I mean, there are good people who really believe in global warming. That is the biggest lie. The other biggest lie is the separation of the church and state. That is a big lie. I have great friends who still believe in all that. Those are lies of the devil. Okay. Um, but people don't believe in demons of the world, and they downplay it because we call it mental health now. So we have a name for everything, just like I was talking earlier, I feel like someone may have put a hex on me or a curse on me or whatever. And I know that sounds really crazy,
It
like, Christy,
does.
you have lost your mind. But after I've watched the segment or the sermon on witches and, like, the different cultures and what they do, there is one that comes in your sleep, and it's like Freddy Krueger type stuff, like he's Nightmare on Elm Street. We make movies on it to mock it. But really, there is a spirit that they have a agenda. Like, there's one that causes you to murder, one that causes you to steal, one, and the ones that did it in the very beginning, they taught weapons and they taught, magic. And those fallen angels are bound in chains
Mhm.
and will not be released until judgment.
Remember earlier when I said demons are not omniscient, but each one has a specific knowledge?
Yes,
That's what you're
that's
talking
what I'm
about here.
talking about. They all have even with porn. So when you're tempted by porn, you have a demon around you tempting you to watch it. So when you look at it like that, nobody wants to be tempted by a demon.
Yeah.
Same way with masturbation, things like that. Those are the things sexual demons, sexual evil spirits that tempt you to have an affair, to have all these different things. And we just and it is flesh, don't get me wrong, that's the desires of our flesh. And so if we're not living in the spirit, our spirit and our flesh are constantly at odds with one another. If you're not living in the spirit, then you give in to those, and the demon wins. And so when you look at it like that, you're like, holy, like I do not want to be tempted by a demon. And we just don't even realize it. Um, he gave a really good illustration on the evil of Satan. So, like, there's surface evil. My husband is a retired police officer, and he has seen surface evil, like, um, you know, robbing a bank, even shooting someone, murdering someone, drunkenness. He's seen surface that we see every day. But there's also a different level of evil. And so he gives this illustration as like a man goes into and robs a gas station. That's evil. The police come and arrest him. But then there's also a darker evil who shoots everyone in the gas station. So there is a different level, and that's kind of like where Satan roams. Not that he's not with the lesser evil, but he that's who he is, and he is a murderer. The Bible is very clear on this. But anyway, back to the Agenda 2030. So I don't know if you've heard about the 15-minute cities. I've been hearing about these, and I had no idea what it was until I was listening to it. We're going to the digital dollar, which we've known that in the end times. We will have a digital. It's called Biden Bucks too. So that just kind of shows you how close it is.
Fantastic.
But everything's going to be controlled, and so like if you get 15 minutes out of your city, your digital money shuts off. They talk about the meat. We'll eat less meat. Well, I want to eat all kinds of meat. Well, I'm not going to be able to, because we're only going to be allowed to purchase and buy what they tell us that we can purchase and buy. So we are going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, and we need to wake up and understand that all of this stuff is not good, but you will own nothing. They will control how much money you can spend, where you can spend it. And if you try to run and go for the hills, then you have no money,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to control it. Because if you get 15 minutes out, it to some people that sounds, oh, that's wonderful, because all of us will be on a level playing field. No, we're controlled, and so we have to understand. Um, but we downplay it, and the enemy. It's in Revelations 12:1-9. He's a red dragon, an old serpent of old, the one who leads the whole world astray. He wanted to kill Jesus, and he wanted to kill Israel. So that is we have to understand who he is and how he lies. Um but because people don't believe in Satan and demons, they don't learn who he is or how to battle him. He's an accuser, and so he oppresses the Christians to God. So he goes to God and he'll be like, "Look at Lisa. Look at her. She's over there gossiping." That's what he does. He accuses us of everything. He's a crafty deceiver. He slanders. He's the enemy, evil one. He's the god of this world, father of lies, commander of demons, a roaring lion, a spirit of disobedience. Why does God tell us who he is? Well, for one, so we'll know the enemy, but because he loves us,
Mm-hmm.
and he's given us this weapon, which is the word of God, and the armor to protect us, so we're not caught off guard. So the media, this is how Satan has gotten to us. You know, uh, I was telling the girls earlier, we used to watch all those innocent TV shows, and so let's talk about Disney for a second. Um, I've been to Disney. I'm more of a kid at Disney than my kids. Like, seriously. I love all the Disney movies and stuff. Innocently, we look at them like they're just movies, but there is a hidden agenda. There is a deception behind all of them. We talked about Pinocchio, little boys going to Pleasure Island. That's Epstein's island. There's been islands before Epstein, I'm sure.
There's more than just that.
Yes, there's more than just his island. But it's to desensitize us. And so that is the biggest thing that I have learned, is that we go through 1,000 commercials a day, or unless you have a DVR, or you can skip through them or whatever. And so the biggest thing is that he talked about was when he was learning about the wizards, and we're going to talk about Harry Potter, because I am Not a Harry Potter fan, I haven't read the books. I've watched a couple of the movies, but, like, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I love Magic Quest. And I've taken my children to Magic Quest and had the wand. I mean, we even had the little ball at the top of it. We were all into it. And I have been convicted totally of that because it's fun and it's, ooh, who doesn't want to cast a spell and all this stuff? And so they desensitize it. Harry Potter, after Harry Potter, Wicca is the number one growing religion among teens. That's along with Twilight and Vampire Diaries. I'm team Damon and team Edward, and I've been there to tour it. I mean, and so it is a obsession with vampires who drink blood. We believe in vampires, but we don't believe in adrenochrome. Um, it is just it's devilish behavior, and we think it's just a movie or just a Super Bowl commercial. Um, but if you look at our households, um, 1 out of 3 kids live without a dad. And so it has destroyed our home where, like, Leave It to Beaver and, Pleasantville and things like that, that where the family was so dominant. Satan has, if you don't want to be married to that person anymore, you just go get a divorce.
Mhm.
Go marry somebody else. Um, Having sex outside of marriage. I mean, most of your TV shows, that's all you see is teen love. They're not married and they're having sex. The whole world, Satan is deceiving through the media. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And that's it. Repetition of commercials and movies and the media is it repetition leads to remembrance. And so, like, you get mad at somebody, you no longer go fight it out on the playground. You get a gun and you go shoot them. I mean, it is really that's his biggest tool right now. Devilish practices, occult evil practices. He's a liar, and that's in John 8:44. Um, So witchcraft, it used to be called witchcraft back in the day. I'm not very familiar on, like, the murder of all the witches at Salem and all that stuff, and how that was. But now, today they've renamed it Wicca, and they say it's good.
Mhm.
It's good for the environment, nature, peace, and the planet. Once again, you're going against Roman 1 that says that you're worshiping the creation instead of the creator, and that's against God's word. Um, so a lot of people say that, well, I do it because I can speak to my grandmother who's dead, or I can speak to a friend that passed away, or it's just the god or goddesses that's trying to help us. Astrology speaking, with the moon and the stars and your horoscope. Um, to be present, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And so when you die, you immediately go to heaven or you immediately go to hell. There is no coming back. And so let's say that you see your dead grandmother or your father or whatever. Um, they are masquerading as angels of light, and that is not your family member. It is a demonic spirit that is pretending to be. They may have their voice, whatever, but they want
And
to
they
lure
may
you.
know things.
Yeah, they want to lure you in because everything they want you to go to witchcraft. They want you to go to that. And so going to a medium or a psychic or something like that because you want to know, like, we go with our feelings instead of what the truth of God's word
You
is.
want to be comforted because you
Yes,
lost
because you
them,
miss them.
and Satan knows that's what you're
That's
looking
right.
for.
I saw a thing on TikTok today. It was I can't remember. He's a black pastor, Vadi. What is his name?
I know who it
I can't remember his name, but anyway, he was saying that that's how we get to glory is through death. But death is our enemy, and so we fear death. We hate death, um, because it is our enemy. But we all are going to die,
is.
and that's how we get to glory. And so you have to keep reminding yourself on these things because we miss our loved ones. Today is actually the day that my dad passed away 4 years ago. And so I wasn't for sure if I was going to be able to study, but I'm who I am because of my dad's death. Like, it was through the Lord met me in my darkness and I allowed him to heal me. I didn't seek anything else. I stood on the word of God. And so, But after Harry Potter, kids are home and you've got COVID and they're lonely laying in their bed. If you think your kid is not wanting to have power or to zap somebody or to make something like fly across the room with a wand or whatever, you're crazy. I mean, because even I desire um oh gosh, Brittany, what's her name? The witch on Vampire Diaries. Bonnie Bennett, I was like, man, that would be cool to be able to make feathers fly and make, what I'm saying? Like it is a fantasy. It's the power that we it's the curse from the garden. The power that we want, the feminist movement, you have to be really careful. It draws women to power, to overpower the man, which is against God's word.
It is.
You have to, everything leads that is not of God to Satan. I mean, that's just how it is. But it affects our kids. And one thing he was talking about, the wand of the wizard or the witches or whatever, it is made out of a Hollywood tree. Holly tree, that the wood. And so isn't it crazy that Hollywood is named after that, and it's supposed to mesmerize people. And so
That's interesting.
it is very interesting, and how everything kind of goes hand in hand. Um we're in a war, and it's Satan. The power attracts people to drink blood and to get power. That's what they claim. If you drink blood, it gives you power, makes you immortal. And what I mean, every Disney thing is about, there's some kind of power or potion or mirror on the wall, or a poisoned apple, a wicked witch, a crystal ball. I mean, you name it, it's all in there. And we just don't, it's innocent, it's Disney. They're so involved in the occult. But you don't believe it. Monsters Inc. I mean, it's the biggest laugh in our face, makes kids scream. And then you have this liquid that they sell. I mean, come on, people. It is time to wake up. It's very, very, very crazy. Um, but here's the thing with the church, it desensitizes us by the things of the evil to promote his evil practices. Um, he wants to be God. He wants us to think he is good. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says he masquerades like an angel of light. So you've got the shows like Lucifer, and you've got Charmed, and you have, I mean, there's so many more
Mm.
that you could just think of. All I mean, you've got just most of them are mystic powers or some kind of evil force or something. Um it is really crazy. That is, the media is how he is pushing that's his biggest tool. We're being brainwashed, and we need to turn our TV off and act like Jesus instead of Satan. It's a satanic war on the Christians. And he doesn't work alone. He has a bunch of demons. It says he took a third of the angels with him. So we still have two-thirds on our side. And so, it is really tough. So, this is going to be a two-part series. And so, I think this is probably a good time before we get like into
Yeah.
the witch part. But there'll be a part two. It basically, what we're doing is just not that we're glorifying any of this. You need to see the tactics and the plan of Satan and how he is using our everyday to further his kingdom. He knows his time is short. He believes in Jesus when the boy was possessed, that Jesus came upon, and they had there was many demons, legion.
Mhm.
And there was, and in the pigs, that's another thing that was really crazy, is that those pigs had more than one demon. There was like 2,000 pigs, and they all ran into the water, and the people were mad at Jesus because their livelihood was gone. Not because he cast out a demon or all the
A
legions of,
legion
yeah,
of 'em, yeah.
because he messed up their livelihood, and that's how we
And then they
think.
told him to leave.
Yes, told him to leave. I'm like, what in the world? It is crazy. So, do you have anything else you want to end with? It's not like we're doom and gloom. If you aren't accepted, if you haven't accepted Jesus, that's what you need to do. You need to be scared. It needs to scare the hell out of you, literally, because this is real stuff, and
It's
you
a
could
war.
it is a war, it's a spiritual battle, and we can't see our enemy, and so we have to know the characteristics of our enemy, who he is, that he is a liar. He's lying to you. So if you're over here defending yoga, or you're defending this or that, or Disney movies, or Harry Potter, I mean, it was hard about the Vampire Diaries. Wait till I talk about Halloween and Santa Claus. So like it is really what it is, and it's a demonic activity, and you either participate in it or you don't. And we're supposed to be set apart. We're not supposed to be of the world.
Yeah.
He tells us that his kingdom is not of this world. And so you can't have one foot in the world and one foot out and think, oh, I can watch all these Disney movies. It might not affect you, but it might affect your kids or your grandkids, or, you know, what it's going to be affected.
I
It's,
want to share Luke 10:19. Behold, I've given unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and
mm-hmm.
over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall be any means by any means hurt you. And so I just want to leave them with that on this first
Yep,
part to say we have the power to defeat this. And
that's
so
right.
we have to be aware of what we're facing day in and day out and what that looks like. So,
And when Jesus said, I've came to set the captive free, he means the evil spirits. So you have to understand the context of that. If you think it's just, oh, the captive free of sin, yeah, but in that, the where he was talking about it, he was from demon possessions and demon activity, because they're everywhere. It's all over the Bible. And you have to take that passage literally, just like you take the passage about Jesus literally. You have to understand he came to set the captive free. You're captive by evil spirits and demonic presence and oppression and possession. And so make sure you're saved. Everybody thinks they're saved. But if your life doesn't look like it, you need to have a discussion with Jesus and make sure. If not, maybe something you're going through. We talk about anxiety and depression. We know some of the people had epilepsy. All of the things I've seen some demon possessions where at the end of it they convulse. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think a lot of us put mental health on it, give people drugs so it'll hush them up. Instead, they need deliverance by the blood of Jesus Christ.
mhm.
And so I hope you join us for part 2 next week. And we'll get further into this and know who our enemy is and how we can stand. So have a good week.